Stacy from stacymakesense.com, and in this video I'm going to show you a method for making bread that I like to call mock sourdough. About 10 years ago I found this recipe in a church cookbook, and I've been making it for that long. It's become a huge favorite for our family, and anytime I make it or take it anywhere, everybody just loves it. So I have tweaked this recipe and made it exactly how I like it. I'm going to give you some different options, like different options for ingredients, because I always get asked that. But I've made this for so long that I know exactly what works. I know what doesn't work, so I can put that as well, to save you all the trouble of trying to, I wonder if that will work. Well, I can just go ahead and tell you what's going to work or what's not. The idea of this bread versus traditional sourdough is that you don't have to keep the starter alive. This starter is made the night before you want to make your bread. So the night before I'm going to make this 3 batch of bread, I just mix up my starter and leave it on the counter to ferment overnight. Now that short ferment is going to give the bread the sourdough flavor that most people are used to, but it doesn't require that you keep it alive, because I'm just going to tell you, I've got 3 little people plus husband to keep alive, and I don't really have time to keep a sourdough starter alive. I'm doing good to keep my kefir going. So that is what appeals to me so much about this particular recipe. This is not like traditional sourdough where you feed the starter every day with white, and it creates its own wild yeast from the air. We're actually going to use yeast. This is just a method to give you a little bit of a sourdough flavor in just a normal loaf of bread that you would use for sandwiches or toast or whatnot. If you are interested in sourdough, traditional sourdough, I can put a link below for a book that I have read called Sourdough A-Z from GNOWFGLINS, which is actually the best sourdough resource I've ever found. Our family didn't really care for the strong sourdough taste of most of that, but it is, if that's something that you're looking for, traditional sourdough, I can put that link below for you. It walks you through step by step with great recipes and pictures. It's the best resource I've ever found for traditional sourdough. But we're going to make mock sourdough, and I hope that you will enjoy it and that your family will love it as much as ours does. So let's get baking. The idea for this bread is that you don't have a starter that you have to feed every day or once a week or keep on the counter or in the refrigerator. We make this starter the night before we want to make our sourdough bread. So we're going to mix this up and let it sit on our counter for 8 to 12 hours. That's just a guesstimate. If you go 13 or 14, the whole world's not going to, cease to exist. We start out with 3/4 cup of very warm or hot water. And then we're going to put some yeast in that to dissolve. We're not going to worry about killing the yeast, because this yeast in this overnight starter is just to give it a yeasty flavor. It's not to raise the bread tomorrow, because we're going to add more yeast. The way that this bread works is we do add yeast, but it tastes sourdoughy and more yeasty because of this starter we're going to make tonight and add to tomorrow. So we've got our 3/4 cup of hot water, and we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. Always keep your yeast in the freezer. It helps it last longer. It's better for it. So now we're going to just dissolve that 1/4 teaspoon of yeast in our very hot water. There we go. Then we're going to add half a cup of sugar. Okay? I got a little ahead of myself. So 1/2 cup of sugar. Now you can use white sugar. I'm using honey granules, but white sugar or honey granules or whatever sugar that you use in your house. So I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. And let's stir it up. Now we're going to add potato flakes. Now I'm using Bob's Red Mill potato flakes. You can use whatever brand you want. Be sure to use the flakes. I've tried, like I said, I've been making this bread for so long. I've tried so many different things. Potato flakes work the best. So we're going to add and mix in. I usually like to try to mix this until I can tell that a lot of the sugar has dissolved. You don't have to dissolve all of it. The yeast is going to eat the potatoes and the sugar. They're going to ferment on your counter for 8 to 12 hours and give it that nice fermented flavor that we like in sourdough bread. So I'm going to add my 3 tablespoons of potato flakes. Bonk. It's always better with sound effects. Boom. There we go. Stir it up. We don't have to do anything fancy. Now, that's nice and mixed together. Smells delicious. And just cover it up. You're going to let it sit on your counter for 8 to 12 hours. Like I said, or 13 or 14, or hey, I have kids, so sometimes things happen, like stuff catches on fire and someone falls down the stairs. So 8 to 12 hours is a general idea. And we'll come back tomorrow and we'll turn this into some yummy, yummy sourdough bread. And that will make 3 loaves. So this batch will make 3 loaves. And you'll see me tomorrow in a totally different outfit. So we'll be back.